Ahmed had always been fascinated by urban legends and internet horror tales. Among them, one stood out, the NoEnd House. It was said to be the ultimate haunted experience, a place no one truly escaped from. One evening, while scrolling on his phone, Ahmed discovered a strange online post. It had no username, no comments, only an address and a chilling line. The NoEnd House opens tonight. 6 rooms, each one worse than the last. Reach the end, and you LL be rewarded. His heart raced. It sounded like a cheap horror attraction, maybe even a prank, but curiosity burned inside him. He decided to go. That night, Ahmed followed the directions to a quiet neighborhood. The street was empty, unnaturally still. Between 2 ordinary houses stood something that didn't belong, a tall, blackened building with no lights, no windows, and a door slightly ajar. It felt like it had been waiting for him. Ahmed took a deep breath and stepped inside. The door creaked shut behind Ahmed, sealing him in darkness. For a moment, panic rushed through him, but then dim lights flickered on. He found himself in what looked like an old living room. The wallpaper was peeling, the carpet was torn, and the air smelled of mold and dust. At first, he almost laughed. This is it? It looked less like a haunted house and more like an abandoned home. He stepped forward, brushing past a broken lamp. But as soon as he reached the center of the room, the temperature dropped sharply. Behind him, the door he had entered was gone, replaced by a blank wall. His stomach tightened. There was no turning back. The silence grew heavy, pressing against his ears. Then, from the corner of the room came the faintest sound, a whisper. It was too soft to understand, but it carried his name, Ahmed. His pulse quickened. He scanned the shadows, but nothing was there. The whispers grew louder, circling him, until finally, the next door groaned open on its own. Ahmed swallowed hard and stepped through. The door shut behind Ahmed the instant he entered room 2. The space was darker, colder, and the faint light barely reached the corners. He took a cautious step forward, and the wooden floor creaked under his weight. Then came the whispers again, clearer this time, closer. Ahmed. The voice seemed to move around him, circling faster and faster. He spun, but the room was empty. A sudden breath brushed against his ear, and he stumbled backward in shock. The next door opened. He didn't hesitate. He rushed into room 3. The air was damp here, heavy with the smell of rot. The walls weren't flat anymore. They pulsed, almost like living flesh. Ahmed's stomach churned as he reached out and felt them warm, wet, moving. Something scraped along the ceiling above him. He froze, looking up. A long, distorted shadow crawled across the ceiling, moving faster than he could track. It stopped directly above him. The lights flickered, and when they came back on, the shadow was gone. A low groan echoed from the far door. Ahmed's hands trembled as he reached for the handle. He knew things were only going to get worse. Room 4 was colder than any place Ahmed had ever been. Frost clung to the walls, his breath visible in the air. In the middle of the room sat a single wooden chair, turned away from him. The silence was suffocating. He didn't want to look. Every part of his mind screamed to ignore it and head straight for the door. But as he moved, the chair began to turn, slowly, creaking on its legs. Sitting there was himself, another Ahmed. Same clothes, same tired eyes, same trembling hands. But the double S face was pale, drained of life, and its lips curved into a thin, sinister smile. "Go back," the double whispered, voice low and broken, "before it's too late." Ahmed stumbled backward, heart pounding. The double didn't move from the chair, but its eyes followed him. The next door burst open, as if urging him forward. Room 5 felt familiar, almost comforting at first. It was his bedroom, his own bed, his desk, his shelves lined with books. But something was wrong. The family photos on the wall were smeared, faces blurred out. No, not blurred. Scratched away. Only his own face remained intact, staring at him from every frame. Then the pictures began to bleed. Thick, dark streaks ran down the glass, dripping onto the floor. The lights flickered violently, and the sound of heavy footsteps approached from behind. Ahmed didn't dare turn around. He lunged to the door and yanked it open. Ahmed stumbled into room 6, gasping for air. To his surprise, it was empty, just 4 plain walls, a single light bulb swinging from the ceiling, and a door at the far end. Relief washed over him. Maybe this was the end. Maybe he had beaten the house. He laughed nervously, his voice trembling in the silence. He crossed the room quickly and reached for the door. His hand shook as he pulled it open. But outside wasn't the street. It wasn't freedom. It was another hallway, another entrance, the same dark, looming door he had walked through at the very beginning. Above it, glowing faintly, was a new sign. Welcome to the NoEnd House. Ahmed's breath caught in his throat. He stepped back, shaking his head. No, it couldn't be. He had finished. He had gone through all 6 rooms. But the house wasn't finished with him. The door slammed shut behind him, and the light bulb flickered out. In the darkness, the whispers returned. Stay. Forever. Ahmed realized the truth. There was no prize, no escape, no end, only the NoEnd House.